Okay, Be'ezrat Hashem, Naaseh v'Natzliach. I want to welcome you to the Lighthouse project as we continue our series of spiritual preparation for Chanukkah. We're about a week away, and we touch a lot of interesting topics, and we've discussed the month of Kislev. We spoke about how to activate a miracle, how to get your own private miracle, how this is the month of miracles. However, tonight's class is going to be about the other miracle of Chanukah. The one that we don't talk about. The one that is not celebrated. The one that is so huge that you might think, why don't we celebrate it? It's a very, very interesting topic. But before we get started, I'd like to give an honorable mention to our nightly sponsors, El Hanan Hanas, for the Atzlacha of Hanan ben Ruth Limor, and for the Refuah Shlema of Menachem Mendel ben Sara Batya, and the Vor Fega Bat Rezel. Also, I'd like to dedicate this class to our Yisachar and Zevulun sponsors, H&M Builders, the Dornbush family, doing this in honor of their grandfather, and Be'ezrat Hashem, that the Dornbush family have a lot of bracha v'atzlacha b'chol ma'aseidehem, refuah, briut, simchat chaim, v'bsorot tovot. Also, this should also be to the refuah shlema of Sheina Henschel Bat Leah Gittel, and this also be for the tzlacha of Batchen Bat Jacqueline, and for the people that are running in my mind. Okay, let's get started. And for that tzlacha of all the people in the room. Amen. And online. Okay. Even a first grader knows that the miracle of Chanukah is that a small jug of oil that was supposed to last for 1 day lasted for 8 days. And if you're a little bit older, you know that the other miracle of Chanukah was that the Hashmonaim, a small family of Kohanim, were able to wage war at a very strong, very large army, and they won the war. And if you're a little bit more advanced in your understanding of the holiday of Chanukah, you know the details of the miracles that happened. That Hashem delivered the mighty into the hand of the weak, the many into the hand of the few, the impure into the hands of the pure, the wicked into the hands of the righteous, and the wanton sinners into the hands of those who occupy themselves with Torah. That's what we say, Ala Nisim, that we say in the Amidah, that we say in Birkat Hamazon. However, there's another miracle, just as big, possibly even bigger, and possibly even maybe 2 or 3 other miracles that are connected to this holiday and that we're not celebrating. But before we reveal this other miracle, let's look a little bit, take a deeper look into the miracles that we are celebrating. Let's look into the miracle of the tiny jug of oil. This little jug of oil that lasted for 8 days. What is so special about this miracle? Granted that this was a special jug, that just a few parashiot ago into Parashat HaShavua, when Yaakov Avinu was going back for a couple of lost canisters, the Midrash tells us that the reason why he went back and then he was fighting with the Sarosh Shel Esav, it was that canister, there was that mamash pach shel shemen. That's what he wanted to get back. It wasn't just like a 99-cent item. It was an important thing. And not only that, it survived. Imagine, Yaakov Avinu, Mitzrayim, Yetziat Mitzrayim, Israel, Bet HaMikdash, second Bet HaMikdash. I mean, this thing withstood the test of time. And granted that this little jug was the only one that wasn't desecrated by the Greek-Assyrian army, that they went into Bet HaMikdash and they touched every little thing and made everything impure, and this was the only thing that was left over, and not only that, it had the seal of the Kohen Gadol. Granted. However, is it such a great miracle that a small canister of oil lasted for 8 days? You know, Bet HaMikdash was a miracle house. I would say on the list of miracles that happened in that building, I don't even think it's top 10. For example, if you read in Pirkei Avot, on the 5th chapter, on the 8th Mishnah, it says over there very clearly 10 things that Bet HaMikdash, 10 miracles that happened in Bet HaMikdash. And it goes like this. Asara nisim ne'asu la'avoter beBet HaMikdash. I'll read it in Hebrew, then I'll translate it. Lo hipila isha מריח בשר הקודש, ולא הסריח בשר הקודש מעולם, ולא נראה זבוב בבית המטבחים, ולא הראה קרי לכהן גדול ביום הכיפורים, ולא חיבו הגשמים אש על עצי המערכה, ולא ניצחה רוח את עמוד העשן, ולא נמצא פסול בעומר, ובשתי הלחם ולחם פנים, עומדים צפופים ומשתחווים רווחים, ולא הזיק נחש ובקר בירושלים מעולם, ולא אמר אדם לחברו, צר לי המקום שעלין בירושלים. What does all that mean? It says that no woman ever miscarried from the pungent odor of the sacrifices. That was a miracle. The sacrificial meats never rotted. That's a miracle. There were no flies where the meat was butchered. That's a miracle. The high priest never suffered an impurity on Yom Kippur, because that would render him that he's unable to perform the services of Yom Kippur. That never happened. Rain never extinguished the fire on the altar. You should know that on the altar also there was a column of smoke. And this column of smoke rising to the heaven from the altar was never swayed by the wind. Imagine, it's when you see just a column of smoke and nothing moves it. Not the breeze, not winter, not something flying by it, nothing. And it's visible. Straight out miracle that is visible every single day. No defects were found in the barley offering or the 2 loaves of the showbread. Here are the major miracles. The people stood crowded together, yet had enough room to prostrate themselves during worship. So basically, the way that it would work, you would have thousands of people in this little building that I would say, let's say, is maybe half the size of the block that we're on. And we know we can't house thousands of people on such a piece of real estate. And at that times, bowing was not like we do today, where we just bend our back. It would go the way we do on Yom Kippur, completely on the floor, laid out, stretched out, and they were able to bow completely, and plenty of space for all the people in there. It was an absolute miracle. Neither serpent nor scorpion ever caused harm in Jerusalem. Imagine. And no person ever said there isn't enough space for me to stay overnight in Jerusalem. Meaning it was so crowded. Like for example, we have the Shlosha Regalim. Imagine how many people come down to Yerushalayim in Sukkot, Pesach, Shavuot. You think it's booked? You think there's no vacancy sign going up in a few places? Pirkei Avot says there was never such a thing. There was always enough room for people to sleep in Yerushalayim. A couple of other cool miracles, when they would bring chickens as sacrifices and they would pull the feathers, once they got pulled off and the Kohen would throw them behind, they would just disappear. They would just disappear. Certain things that were waste, like clay bowls or blood, would just disappear. So I think there was some incredible miracles that were happening on a daily basis. They were a little bit bigger than a canister of oil lasting for 8 days. As a matter of fact, in the time of Shimon HaTzadik, they said that he would light the candle of the menorah and it would go from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah for 40 years. How come we don't celebrate that? How come we don't have a holiday for all these miracles? Yet we have a holiday for this. How about this? Matityahu Kohen, by the way, you should know, Matityahu Kohen ben Yochanan Maccabi. That's where we get the Maccabees from. Also, it's an acronym for Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai. So when you see the Maccabees or the Maccabees, it's not some music band that came out. The source for it is it's the acronym for the Kohen Gadol, and also Mi kamocha ba'elim Adoshem. Now here he is, a lone wolf. He's by himself. He's got 5 children, and he's able to put together the Maccabean revolt. He's able to overpower a huge army of thousands of armed Greek Assyrians. And they were able to be successful, and they were able to reclaim Yerushalayim and Bet HaMikdash. And we celebrated that this is the miracle, that a small family of Jews was able to overpower such a big and powerful army. And that was one of the miracles of Chanukkah. But if you go and look back a little bit in Jewish history, it's not so impressive. It's not so impressive. As a matter of fact, I'll give you a quick history lesson. We had a war called Milchemet Midian, when we fought the nation of Midian. Huge army, equipped with weapons and strategy and animals and horses and carriers and chariots. And we are a lone nation in the desert, and we decide we have to defend ourselves, we'll fight. What was the strategy? 1,000 from each tribe, and we go to war. 12,000 people, over hundreds and thousands of people. Not one death, not one injury. That's a miracle. We should celebrate that.
Weren't the other ones studying Torah while these were in the...
So they had 12. 12 watching the Aron HaKodesh, 12,000 watching the Aron HaKodesh, 12,000 learning, and 12,000 that went to war. But the actual people that went to war is 12,000. By the way, that's why when we go to war, it's very important to support the Avrechim, the people in the yeshivot. How do you think we win wars? Everything happens in the Shamayim and in the Aretz. They fight the spiritual war with the Torah, and then it trickles down to us as a result of what happens through the learning and through the prayer. That's when we fight. You know how we fight? We open up a book. That's how we fight. Take it to another war. There were 2 giants, Sichon and Og. One of these days I'll give you a beautiful lesson about giants. Very, very interesting. And
when we had the mermaids that time.
Yes, I owe you a lesson on giants. Sichon and Og were giants from the time of Genesis, from the time of Bereshit. And they were gangsters. They were taking money from Emori and Bashan, these 2 places, for protection. They would extort them. They would tell them, give us all the money that we need, all the food that we need, or everything that we need in return for protection. And they had a very good life. For hundreds and hundreds of years, they had a good job. Moshe Rabbeinu, at the ripe old age of 120 years, beats Sichon and Og by himself. Isn't that a miracle? Should we celebrate that? Moshe Rabbeinu killing 2 giants by himself? When the Jewish people were going into Eretz Yisrael, they were fighting the Canaanim. 7 years of war, kicking out 7 different nations. 7 years of war, 1 death. 1 death. And even that death, they spoke about it, they prayed, they mourned, they asked the Urim V'Tumim, a whole story over there. But isn't that impressive? For a different lesson. I can't give you everything.
Okay.
1 death. When the Jewish people went into Eretz Yisrael, when they attacked the city of Jericho, they circled a city that was completely protected by a very strong fortress. They circled it 7 times, blowing shofarim and horns and trumpets, and the entire city's wall go into the ground, and they win that war. Isn't that a miracle? Do we have a Yom Tov for that? Later on, we fought the nation of Midian again. This is in the time of the Nevi'im. It was the Navi Gidon. He rounded up 22,000 soldiers. Later on, he went and asked and did a test. Who's weak? Who's scared? Let's sift through these 22,000 soldiers. And just a few days later, he's only left with 10,000. Later on, he did another test. He took them to the water and did the water test. Who comes to the water? Who picks up the water? How they drink the water? And from those 10,000 soldiers, he was left with only 300. And he went to war with only 300 people against the nation of Midian, and he won with no deaths. We don't celebrate that. By the way, the movie 300 is originally from here.
Really?
It has to be. Where did they get the number 300 from? Sancheriv, evil king. He would conquer and then displace the people. He would conquer people in one place and send them to another place on the globe. He mixed the whole world up. He would go from place to place and he would displace people. He would take the Germans and put them in Italy. He'll take the Italians and put them in Brussels. He'll put the Brussels in China. Why? So nobody can feel comfortable enough to create a revolt. And when he came to Jerusalem, it's the only place he couldn't conquer. And you know with how many people he came? It says he came with 180,000 gdudim, meaning 180,000 groups of troops, which totaled, the rabbis tell us, over 2 million people. He comes and sees Jerusalem. He says, these two little mountains? He says, go to sleep. Tomorrow morning we'll all take a rock each and this whole town will be gone. He went to sleep. That night an angel went into the camp and killed 180,000. And nothing ever happened to the Jews. Isn't that a miracle? Shouldn't we celebrate that? From all these wars, all I feel is when you have Hashem, fear no one. That's what I feel. This is my history. This is our history. Fear no one. Why? You have Hashem. Also in our prayers we say Baal Milchamot. He is the Baal. He's the master of wars. How about recently? How about the Yom Kippur War? How about the 6 Day War? Who wins a war in 6 days? How about terrorist attacks in Israel, where hundreds and hundreds of rockets come over and we don't get, and not one Jew dies, or very rarely. Isn't that a miracle? In our days, don't you see the divine protection over the Jewish people? Shouldn't we be celebrating those miracles? But we don't. We don't celebrate it like the way we celebrate the miracle of Chanukkah. So you see that in Bet HaMikdash there were greater miracles than the Pach. And there were other wars, there were greater wars than the war of the Hashmonaim. But there's another miracle here. There's another miracle in this story. It's the miracle of the Jew. It's the miracle of Judaism. It's the miracle of us sitting here right now. You have to understand that during the time of Chanukkah, sometimes you hear the story, but you don't know the background of it. It was a period of over 170 years of desensitizing the Jew. This is Greek culture penetrating the Jewish life, Jewish people, and for a period of over 170 years, causing assimilation, Hellenization, or which in Hebrew is called mityavnim, desensitizing the Jew to their religion, to their heritage. We were completely gone. You know why? They kept us busy. They had Olympics, they had stadiums, they had bodybuilding, they had philosophy, they had mathematics, they had theater, they had drama, they had gladiator arenas, they had song, they had sculptures, and on and on and on. They knew how to capture our attention and keep us busy. And they didn't forbid us from learning Torah. You can have that book on your shelf, just don't live that life. Read it as a philosophy. Another philosophy, just like all the other philosophies that you learn with us. We'll learn the Torah with you. But don't keep it. Don't keep that Shabbat. Don't circumcise your son. Don't declare Rosh Chodesh. So after 170 years, we were 99.99% gone. We were gone. There was one family left, the Hashmonaim. And what they did, they single-handedly brought back the Jewish people back from extinction. The miracle is not that they went and they were able to do it. The miracle is that the Jews came back. Think about it. Here we are in the United States. Let's just say that we've been 100 years. Let's just say that we have families that have been here since 1919. What's the state of the Jew after 100 years in America?
Sad.
50% of assimilation, 70% not keeping. What's the numbers? We know that the numbers are not positive. Baruch Hashem that there's tshuva, Baruch Hashem that we have a very big movement of people coming back, but overall the statistics are bad. Add another 70 years to it. Judaism would be a blur. They would have had so many opportunities to wash out any memory of Torah, mitzvot, heritage, and that's where that generation was. They were completely gone. So imagine 5 guys and a father. Later on they say that they became 12 and then they became an army of 3,000, and for a period of 2 years they were able to do these tactical little
Years ago, a few thousand people is pretty sad.
Where are the Jews? Where are the Jews? Why is this family all on their own? Where did the Jews go? The Jews were gone. So the miracle here is that when this little family came to all these people that completely became secularized and unreligious and unattached and unaffiliated, and they say, hey, you got to keep Shabbat, you got to put tefillin, you got to eat kosher. And instead of brushing them away, you know what they said? Let's do it. Could you imagine? It's like I'm telling you right now that I'm going to a place where there's 1 million Jews that none of them keep. They're as far from the religion as possible. And we show up 5 guys with hats and payas and this, and we tell them the most stringent laws of keeping the Torah, and they tell you, okay, let's do it. No resistance. That's a miracle. That's a miracle. To tell a Hellenized Jew to come back, and he comes back. And how is that possible? How is it possible that a Jew that can be so far away from the religion can come back? It's very simple. We all have a little pilot light deep down inside our neshama. This nitzotz, this chelek eloki, this part of God, our soul that was given to us from our Father. It's always there. For some people it burns bright and high and you can see it. For some people it's on a low flame. For some people it's like a little charcoal that's about to, it's like about to go out. But what happens? It just takes one little thing to spark it back up. One little thing to fan it back into a huge fire. And what would it be? Maybe a little Torah nugget, maybe a little mitzvah, maybe some sort of chesed. There's something over there that brings the Jew back. We all have the potential to come back. They say ner is the neshama of the person. Ner neshamat ha'adam. That's why when we do the yortzeit, what do? We light a candle. To say it's that spark that we have inside of us. And when we're able to fan that godly spark, this Jewish neshama with Torah, with Yiddishkeit, it goes back into its default setting. It goes back to what it knows the best, to be a righteous Jew, the Son of God. And that's what happened over there. They went back into their default setting. I'm a righteous Jew. I am the Son of God. And they were able to come back, even though that they were so far away. And that miracle of the small jug, that little oil that was able to burn, this is something that we all have. We all have a small jug inside of us. HaKadosh Baruch Hu always plants a small jug of oil in every person's life, a small little miracle. A small miracle that keeps the flame going, this eternal Jewish flame. Now, even though that we see that, with all due respect, kol hakavod, we say that an entire generation of sinners made teshuvah. But yet we're not celebrating it still. Even though that we just made a very valid point, we're still not celebrating an entire nation coming back. Even though that it seems a lot stronger and a lot bigger deal than candle lighting for 8 days, or winning some other war. We've won some great wars before that. Why aren't we celebrating it?
Good question.
Because it's not a miracle. It's not a miracle. A Jew making teshuvah is not a miracle. A Jew coming back to Hashem is not a miracle. It's the essence of the Jew to do teshuvah. Every single Jew has the potential to be the farthest away from Hashem and be able to come back just like that. As a matter of fact, it's happening every day. Every single day we have that quote-unquote miracle of people coming from where they thought they would never be. They're coming back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The reason why we don't celebrate it is because it's not a miracle. It's a huge thing, but it happens every day. Now, speaking of things that happen every day, yes, the miracle is that the Jew made the comeback. Every Jew has the potential to make the comeback. But the fact of the matter is that the Jew is the miracle. Being a Jew is a miracle. And I'll explain. The Jew's survival is a miracle. Jewish history is a miracle. The Jews constantly making a comeback is a miracle. Look at history. Let's not go too far. Let's go into recent history. What about the dispersion of the Jews? We've been spread out throughout this entire planet for a good part of this 5,779 years. How many years were we in Israel? So let's say we have about 800 and 900 years in the time of Bet HaMikdash and 70 years recently. That's about 20% of the time that this earth is around that we've been on in Eretz Yisrael. The rest of the time, we live in China, we live in Hong Kong, we live in Cambodia, we live in Miami, we live in Texas, we live in Mexico. We're all over the place. How about anti-Semitism? How about the pogroms? How about the Crusades? How about the Holocaust? How about terrorism? All that was against us. And we're still here. We are a miracle. It's a miracle we're still here. You know how tiny we are? We're the smallest percentage of people in the world at 15 million. We're less than 0.5%. We're 0.2%. Meaning not 1%, It's less than 1%, 0.2% of the population of the world. How tiny are we? And how many people have tried to destroy us throughout history? Yet, through all that, what are Jews to the world? A light unto the nations.
Nobel Peace.
No other nation has so many contributions to society and advancement like the Jews. More Nobel Peace Prize than any other country, or any other race, or any other type of religion. I don't know how to say it. I'll tell you some Jewish contributions to society. Albert Einstein, the physicist. How about Albert Sabin, developed the oral vaccine for polio? Galileo discovered the speed of light. Gabriel Lippmann discovered color photography. Brighton Epstein identified first cancer virus. Sigmund Freud, the father of psychotherapy. Christopher Columbus, a Morano, discovered the Americas. Isaac Singer invented the sewing machine. Levi Strauss invented the manufacture of denim jeans. There's more that I'm skipping.
Mark Zuckerberg.
There you go. How about Waze, the new GPS system that the whole world is using? How about the mobile eye, the one that helps people, vision-based advanced driver assistance systems, meaning that the car stops itself, drives itself. How about Viber? How about the Uzi machine gun, the Desert Eagle, the Iron Dome? How about the epilator? Who uses an epilator here? Oh.
That pen?
No, epilator, that's a hair removal system. Who likes to play Rummy Cube? Rewalk, a bionic walking assistance system that enables paraplegic to stand upright, walk, and climb stairs. How about the world's smallest video camera? The PillCam. How about the world's smallest DNA computing machine system? How about the USB drive? How about the Intel chip? How about the laser keyboard? How about Babylon, a single-click computer translation?
I think also the drone.
How about Bamba? How about Limonana? It has it here. How about WaterGen, an Israeli-developed device that offers low-cost method of turning air into water? And on and on and on. Just chime in. There's so much more.
Yeah, of course there is.
Because like we said, Hashem sends us here to what? To fix the world. And that's why. That's why even a Jew who's not religious feels that needs to do what? Fix the world.
Yeah.
We don't know if the guy who created the USB drive is from. We don't know. But we know he's a Jew and he wants to help the world get better.
You forgot about the mobile phones.
The mobile phones?
Yeah.
Who's that?
It would be a miracle if they lasted 8 days.
I like it.
Israelis were the ones. It was developed in Israel.
And-
Cellular phones.
WhatsApp.
And the miracle of this dispersed nation that we are, the ultimate miracle for this people, is the miraculous return of the Jewish people to their homeland. As a matter of fact, this coming back to Eretz Yisrael in the time of Mashiach is hinted in the dreidel. When it says Nes Gadol Haya Sham Nun Gimel Hey Shin, it's the same gematria as Mashiach. The same gematria as Mashiach. When we say Nes Gadol Haya Sham, a great miracle happened there. You know when? When Mashiach is coming. When Mashiach is coming, that's the great miracle. Because this Jewish nation that has been dispersed throughout the world is going to live in their homeland, in peace and in happiness with God, with Shekhinah in Bet HaMikdash.
How do you get the gematria from Mashiach?
You want to do it? Let's do it. Nun Gimel, Hey Shin. Right?
53,
So Nun and Gimel is 53.
8,
Add another 5
58,
and another 300.
358,
Okay, let's do Mashiach. Mem and Shin,
40,
340.
340,
Plus Yud,
is 10,
plus 8, 358. Okay, good. Nes Gadol Haya Sham. That's the next miracle. That's the next miracle. That's Mashiach coming. That's when nobody's going to believe. They said that the miracle of Mashiach is going to dwarf anything that's come before it. I always think it's Yetziat Mitzrayim. We think about it every single day. Splitting of the sea, the 10 Makot, what Hashem did for us in the desert, the man, the rolling rock with water, protecting us with bigger than that? Yeah, bigger than that. You have to appreciate one thing too. Here we are, we've been dispersed for over 3,000 years. No land. Sometimes with a land, sometimes without a land, but always Jewish. Always Jewish. Surviving. Always being ourselves. Always sticking to who we are. And you have to ask yourself, and you've heard this many times before, what happened to the Romans? What happened to the Greek Assyrians? What happened to Persia? What happened to Athens? What happened to Paro? What happened to Haman? What happened to Hitler? What happened to them? They're so much bigger, they're so much stronger. Why are we still here? Because we are the miracle. We are the miracle story of the world. The Jew. A very special thing in the world, the Jew.
We're stubborn. We don't want to go away.
Well, I always have this argument, I know it's not the time, but like about is it a race or a religion or both, because...
It's the Torah that keeps us alive.
Right, but we're so different. We're so different because we can be different races and still be Jewish, and then we can be...
It's the godly spark.
People are not religious, but they're still Jews.
Because it's that godly spark.
Right.
What does Chabad do?
Chabad
Chabad doesn't look at anything. They just say there's a spark inside that person. That's what they're interested in.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what you look like, what you wear, where you come from, what's your history. They want that godly spark. They want to fan it and move on to the next guy. They just want to spark it and let the rabbi take care of the rest. Which is great. It's great. We see that the Hashmonaim did the same thing. They went one by one, sparked and brought back an entire nation. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here today. There's always a war. The Jew has a daily war with his identity. Look at us today. I'm in a war. I'm in an identity war myself. And so are the people in this room. And so are the people in this community. And so are the people in Israel. And all around this planet. We're in an identity war. We're at a war with our surroundings. We fit in, we don't fit in. When I'm in Texas, do I act like the Texans? When I'm in New York, am I a New Yorker? What do? Now I act like some Latin guy now that I'm in Miami? We're always at war with our surroundings. You have the Jews that either are able to stay true to themselves or the ones that have to adapt to the environment. But it's always a war. We have a daily war with the Yetzer Hara. He's always trying to get us to conform, to change. You know, they had a lot of tools in the time of the story of Chanukkah. Sculpting, bodybuilding, gymnastics, theater, drama. Today,
Same thing.
yeah,
That's
but it's
Jew.
just all in here now.
That's
You don't have to go anywhere.
I always say...
You don't have to go to the mountain. The mountain came to you. Here you go. Everything is here. And it's sketching you all day long because you don't even have to really experience it. You don't have to sculpt. You don't have to be a sculptor. Just look at somebody being one. You don't have to go do, do Bitul Torah. You want to learn philosophy? You don't have to go to a library. Do everything over here. You have everything that you want over here. And it's not even real. It's fake. You're experiencing it through your eyes.
Phony.
Oh, that's classic. That's top two.
I missed
That one,
something. I missed something.
it's phony.
The phone.
It's phony.
Oh,
It's fake, it's phony.
Phony
Oh,
means
oh,
fake.
yeah, I know that.
And with this,
Phone. Okay. got it.
daily war with our identity, with our surroundings, with our Yetzer Hara. Some way, somehow, the Jew prevails. And the common denominator in all those accomplishments and all those comebacks is that we connected to our true identity. We connected to our true selves. And we got the Yeshua. Anytime we got closer to the Torah and to Hashem, Hashem was able to save us. And we see that. Every single war we weren't supposed to win. Every certain situation we weren't supposed to make it. But some way, somehow, the comeback kid, we were always able to get out of it. How? One common denominator. We connected back to our Father. Every time we connect back to Hashem, all the Yeshuot. There's a story, a parable of the wind and the sun. They see a Jew walking with his hat and his jacket, and the wind tells the sun, I'm going to make that Jew take off his hat and jacket. He says, oh yeah? Let me see it. He says, yeah, you know what? I'll bet you that I can do it too. He says, okay, let's make a bet. So they make a bet. The sun and the wind. Who's going to take the Jew's jacket and hat off? So the wind starts blowing 10 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour. You know, the Jew starts to hold on to his jacket, holds on to his hat, keeps going. The wind starts to step up the offense. 40 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour, and the Jew still holding on to his hat and walking to the jacket. 70 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour, the Jew is not letting go of his jacket. He's being challenged by this wind. He's holding on to his jacket, holding to his hat, and he keeps walking, trying to get to a safe place. Seeing that he wasn't successful, he turns over to the sun and says, you know what, let me see you do it. The sun says, okay, no problem. The sun starts to turn up the heat, 80 degrees, goes to 90 degrees. The Jew starts to loosen up his jacket a little bit, opens up his collar, turns up to 100 degrees, so takes off his hat, starts to fan himself a little bit, goes to 100, 110. He says, he takes off his jacket, 120, 130, he can't take it anymore. He takes off his hat, he takes off his jacket, he takes off even his tzitzit. He says, I need to get comfortable, it's hot in here. And the sun succeeded at taking the Jew's hat and jacket off. What is the mashal and nimshal? When a Jew is being challenged, when he's being challenged, what does he do? He holds on to his Judaism, he holds on to his jacket, he holds on to his hat. But when a Jew feels comfortable, when the sun is shining and it's hot and it's comfortable, he'll easily take off his garb. We are in the Golah, we are in exile. We're constantly challenged. The ploy, the plot of every generation that we got challenged, it's always been the same thing. The story of Chanukkah, they made us feel comfortable. Hang out with us, come play with us, come work with us, come live with us. They used the sunshine approach. They felt comfortable. Why? Because then the Jew on his own will take off his garb. I want to look like him. I want to have the same haircut as him. I want to wear the same clothes as him. And that's what happened. Mitiyavnim. You couldn't tell one Jew from a Greek. However, the minute that we start to become oppressed, what happens? We hold on and we go underground to pray, and we go underground just to light Chanukkah, and we start praying to Hashem. When we're oppressed, we hold on to our Judaism. When we're comfortable, we let go. And that's what happened in the story of Chanukkah. And that's what's happening here today also. In the time of Mashiach, a lot of Jews are super comfortable not being Jews. Because keep in mind, you can keep the title of a Jew. They'll give you the title of a Jew. I'm Jewish, great, we love you, we love Jews. But don't act like it, act like us. And that's what we have today. Reform, conservative, or even people that are just secular, or people that are not keeping. They love the fact that they can be Jewish. It comes in handy every once in a while. When you go to a Chabad house, or when you come over for a Shabbat dinner for somewhere, or if there's a Chagim, or you can take a few days off from work. You don't have to practice to reap the benefits of being Jewish. However, we're so comfortable that we look like them, we act like them, we talk like them. And it's very similar to the story of Chanukkah. Now,
excuse me, there's a thing with the Torah Flava, which generation that they were, like they said that we're like that generation, the generation before Mashiach. that they're very materialistic and everything was about how they looked, and they were busy also trying to look a certain way, like we're busy with plastic surgery and everything is about superficiality and stuff.
This
like
was Dora Mabul.
that. Drama. That was Donna. What was it? Oh.
There were. That's when the girls started to show skin. They started to paint their faces. It started with the fallen angels that came from the heaven, and later on went with the beautiful girls, the beautiful humans, and then they brought forth the giants, and they brought into the world weapons of war and makeup. And it says over there in Yonatan ben Uziel that what was the sin? What would happen over there during that time? They said that the women started to show their skin. They started to paint their face and show their skin. And that's where it all started. Now, even though we spoke about
Hashem's not going to destroy the world, we're just going to get Mashiach.
Bezat Hashem, whoever merits to.
Yeah.
Bezat Hashem, that we all merit to Mashiach. So, we know that there's the miracle of the jug. You know what? At that time, it was a big miracle. No question. What was needed more than anything in that specific moment when they finally got the Bet HaMikdash? It's ours. Let's go. Let's start it over. What do? Let's light the menorah. What is more important that moment than that pach? Nothing. It's a pretty big miracle. And the fact that a small little family went and won that war and was able to bring back the Jewish nation, thank you, Hashmonaim. It's because of you that we are here today. And the fact that the Jews came back and did Teshuvah, which was that other miracle, it is a miracle, but also it's not a miracle. Don't be surprised. It happens every day. As a matter of fact, the life that we live is a miracle. How does the earth turn? Why is the sun the distance that it is right now? How did we get here? How do airplanes fly? I don't know. Everything's a miracle to me. How did I get married? How did women make babies in their belly? It's all a miracle. But we're so used to it. However, there's the other miracle of Chanukkah. There's another one. And it's your private miracle. It's a private miracle that you're about to manifest in a few days from now. I want you to know that the wheels are turning. The emails are being sent, the phone calls are being made, Hashem is now putting all the people in place. It's coming. Your private miracle is coming. Maybe this year you'll merit it. Maybe you merited a miracle a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, but this is the month of miracles. Your miracle is coming up. I want to tell you, I think I shared this last year, I'll share it again. I had a Chanukkah miracle 3 years ago. I was living in South Beach for about 10 years, and we're moving from apartment to apartment, from apartment to apartment. I think we moved about 9 times in 10 years, so it's very frustrating. And I remember that my wife was, I think, pregnant with her second or third child, and that just doesn't work in a 2-bedroom in South Beach. And just became very difficult, and we were very frustrated. And I remember on that year, on Rosh Hashanah and Kippur, my prayer was, Hashem, please, I'm done moving. I don't want to move anymore. And not only that, I want a home. And I want a home next to a good shul. And I want a home next to in a good community. And I want to be I want to be settled. I want to be in a place where I can do Chanukah Habayit. I want to be a place where I can invite people and do Achnasat Orchim. And I planted a very, very strong prayer that Shana. And you know when I got my prayers answered? On the 8th day of Chanukah.
Oh, wow.
You know how? Because on the first day of Chanukah, my landlord wanted to evict me. And he gave me only a very short period of time. He already prepared me a few weeks in advance. But then on the first night of Chanukah, I said, it's time to go. And I didn't know where to go. And my friend just that day happened to tell me he just became a real estate agent and he gave me some advice. I took his advice. And wouldn't you know it, I don't know how it happened, I got approved for a mortgage. And wouldn't you know it, on the 8th day of Chanukkah, we were able to not only get approved, but get approved for the max amount, and we were able to get an FHA loan, and we're able to...
The FHA, that's great.
It was a miracle.
Yeah, it is a miracle.
It was a miracle. And about a month and a half later, I opened up the key to my house. I saw the Yeshuat Hashem. And you know what happened? I compromised because there was a certain period of time that you can use up the loan, and a certain period of time where you can find it. And also, since we had to move out, I stayed by my in-laws for about a month and a half. It was kind of getting cramped, and we just made like some desperate move. We liked the house, but the shul is about an hour away.
Oy.
Every Shabbat, I would have to walk about 50 minutes to an hour. But I was okay with that. But you know what I got? I got the cherry on top. Because right after we moved in, we moved in on Tuesday, on Friday, I get a phone call from my friend. He says, I think you live in the same neighborhood as my friend. Here, talk to him. And he says, which shul are you going to? I thought I'm going to Nes Faredim, which is about 2 or 3 miles away. He's like, no, come to my shul. Beautiful Sephardic shul, 7 minutes away from my house, that I'm there today for 2 years, and I can tell you right now, it's one of the best shuls I've ever been to. It's the people, the kids, it's perfect for me, and it's the short walk, 7 minutes every Shabbat. It's a breeze. So not only did I get a miracle, but I got a little extra miracle on top. You know why? Because you have to believe that your miracle is coming. You have to manifest it. You have to believe that there's that energy over here. So Be'ezat Hashem, when you ask for a miracle, make sure that you ask for it. I just want to re-emphasize it from our previous lesson, that your miracle will be derech hateva, by way of nature. You don't want Hashem to change things around for you and create some crazy miracle. You want a miracle that looks like it was naturally happened through derech hateva, so you don't get your merits cleaned out while you're meriting a miracle. So whatever miracle you're praying for, make sure it's derech hateva.
So you can't pray for a revealed miracle?
You could.
It should be through nature?
You'll know
No.
that's a miracle.
You missed
You
last
just
week's
mean other people
class.
are not going to look at you and say,
That's
oh my
why
God,
you
all of a
don't
sudden money
understand.
rained down in his backyard and he picked it
You
up.
say, I want Hashem, I want a revealed miracle in my life, a miracle that I can see and feel and sense, but derech hateva. In other words, you don't want that bag of money to come on the back of an eagle on your backyard, and it talks to you and says, here's your money bags. You want Hashem to say that, you did a good business deal. It happened that out of you didn't expect this. This is something that wasn't even on your plate, and all of a sudden you were able to come into a tremendous amount of money. No, it looks natural. Oh, it was just a deal. But it was a miracle because it wasn't there.
I have a joke. I mean, so that I always tell everybody. It's like I always wanted to move down here. It was almost like anticlimactic. And I kept saying, I want to work for my laptop at the beach. I want to work a laptop at the beach. 2 seconds. I moved in 2 seconds. I couldn't take the snow anymore, and I said to my kids were buying houses, and they go, Ma, you don't have to follow us everywhere. Go. I said, okay. I didn't know how. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I didn't know why. I didn't have a job. And I'm like, okay. I went down, and I'm at the laptop at the beach, and I'm doing it. It's
living the dream.
Miracle. It's a miracle. Except I forgot to ask for $200 million. That was the only thing I didn't ask for. So Hashem, derech hateva, 200 million. I don't know, 2 million. Take the zero out. Low expectations. But it's true, it does. If you...
Baruch Hashem, we're celebrating today the miracle of the jug of oil, the miracle of winning the war. Today we crystallize that we are a living miracle. We are a walking miracle. We are still here after all the trials and tribulations. Regardless of what this holiday is about and what private miracle you want for yourself, never ever forget that you are a walking miracle, a Jew that's still here today. We are the kings of the comeback. And just when we think that we can't get out of a certain situation, that's when the Yeshua comes. How do we know that? Kislev. Chas Lamed Vav. This month says darkness. A lot of darkness in the beginning of the month that goes into an immense amount of 36 lights, the lights of Chanukkah. That's what happened with, they say, v'choshech hapnei tehom, choshech hapnei tehom. The darkness was Yavan. Yavan covered us with darkness, so much darkness, 170 years. The pilot light was almost gone, only 5 people left, and then what? The Yeshua came. Chanukah is a miracle. The Jewish people are a miracle. You are a miracle. And like we say in Pesach, שבכל דור ודור עומדים עלינו לכלותנו והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו מידם. In Pesach we say every single generation is going to be a tyrant, a dictator, some guy that wants to come and destroy the Jews. And what happens? Spoiler alert, Hashem is going to save us from him every single time. Every single time. Every single time. And you have to know that it's in your life too. The more you start to believe it, the more it'll happen. The more you start to live it, the more you'll manifest it. The other miracle is you. Hashem vayich otchem, v'sameach otchem, and Be'ezrat Hashem you have a great holiday that's coming up this Sunday, and a great Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you. I have a question.